The house had been quiet for months, the kind of quiet that didn't come from peace, but from absence. Dust gathered on the piano in the corner, on the picture frames lining the hallway, on the empty chair by the window where Michael used to sit every morning with his cup of coffee. Emma had stopped counting the days since he left. Sometimes, she told herself he'd come back, that she'd wake up to the smell of roasted coffee beans and the sound of his laughter drifting from the kitchen. But mornings came and went, and the silence only grew heavier. It wasn't that Michael had vanished. He was still alive, living somewhere across the country, chasing a life that didn't include her or their daughter anymore. He had left after too many arguments about money, about work, about how love wasn't enough to keep two broken people together. The last thing he said before walking out the door still echoed in her mind. "You're suffocating me, Emma. I need space. I need to live." And then he was gone. For a long time, Emma blamed herself. She replayed every conversation, every word she wished she'd swallowed instead of shouted. She stopped painting, stopped smiling, stopped opening the curtains in the morning. Even the walls seemed to mourn with her, pale, empty, waiting for something that would never return. But she didn't have the luxury of breaking completely. Their daughter, Lily, was only 10. Lily had her father's eyes, deep, curious, and full of the kind of innocence that made Emma's heart ache. Every night, she asked the same question. "Mom, is Dad coming home soon?" And every night, Emma forced a smile. "Maybe one day, sweetheart." But the truth was, she didn't know. Emma tried to build a routine, something steady enough to keep the world from collapsing. She worked at the small bookstore downtown, where the scent of old paper and coffee offered a strange kind of comfort. Every afternoon, Lily would wait for her outside, her backpack dangling off one shoulder, her sketchbook tucked under her arm. They'd walk home together, sometimes in silence, sometimes with Lily chatting about her day, her teacher, her friends, the stories she wrote in her notebook. Lily loved stories. She said they made the world make sense. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the rooftops, Emma found a crumpled envelope wedged under the front door. Her name was scrawled across it in handwriting she hadn't seen in months. Her heart skipped. Inside was a short letter from Michael. "I'm sorry for how I left. I know I hurt you, both of you. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I want to see Lily. Please let me visit next week." Emma sat at the kitchen table for a long time, the letter trembling in her hands. A part of her wanted to tear it apart, to burn it, to let her anger finally have its way. But another part, the part that still remembered how he used to trace stars on her back when they couldn't sleep, just felt tired. When Lily asked who the letter was from, Emma hesitated. "It's from your dad," she said quietly. "He wants to see you." Lily's eyes lit up. "Really? Really?" The week passed slower than winter. Emma found herself cleaning the house obsessively, not because it was messy, but because she needed something to control. She changed the curtains, polished the floors, even baked the cinnamon rolls Michael used to love, though she swore she'd never make them again. When the doorbell finally rang, her hands were shaking. Michael stood there, older than she remembered. His hair was shorter, his skin a little weathered, his eyes softer, like he'd been through a few storms of his own. "Hey," he said. "Hi." Then Lily came running, and all the bitterness in the room dissolved for a moment. "Dad." He bent down, scooping her up with a laugh that sounded almost unfamiliar. "Hey, my little artist. You've grown so much." Emma stood back, watching, her heart caught between joy and something else, something she couldn't name. They spent the afternoon together. Lily showed him her drawings, mostly of the sea, though they lived miles from it. She said she liked painting things that moved but stayed the same. When Lily went upstairs to fetch more sketches, Emma and Michael sat at the table in silence. "You look good," he said. "You look different." "Yeah," he chuckled softly. "Life will do that." She folded her hands. "So what do you want, Michael?" He hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe just to start over. Not as thus. I know that's gone. But maybe as people who don't hate each other." She looked at him for a long time. "I never hated you. I just couldn't understand how you could walk away from everything we built." He lowered his gaze. "I didn't understand it either. Not until it was too late." That night, after he left, Lily fell asleep with a smile for the first time in months. Emma stood by the window, staring at the stars. For a moment, she thought about what forgiveness might look like. If it was a feeling or just the absence of pain. Maybe it wasn't about letting someone back in. Maybe it was just choosing not to carry the weight anymore. Still, she couldn't shake the unease. Michael's return felt too sudden, too clean. She found herself going through his letter again, reading between the lines. The words were careful, restrained. There was something missing, something he hadn't said. That a few days later, while sorting books at the shop, Emma saw a man through the window, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark coat. For a second, her breath caught. It looked like Michael, but when she blinked, he was gone. That night, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Thank you for letting me see Lily. I'll be in touch soon. There's something I need to tell you." She read the message 3 times, then deleted it. Over the next week, she noticed small things, odd, but easy to dismiss. The porch light flickering even when the bulb was new. The faint smell of cologne near the door. The creak of the piano bench late at night. She told herself it was just her mind playing tricks. That grief and fear could twist the ordinary into ghosts. But deep down, she felt something shifting, like the calm before a storm. And though she didn't know it yet, the truth that was coming would change everything she thought she knew about Michael, about love, and about what it truly meant to protect her child. Because sometimes, the past doesn't knock before it returns. Sometimes, it walks right through the door. The days that followed Michael's visit felt strange, almost too still, as if the air itself was waiting for something to happen. Emma tried to push away the unease, to convince herself that she was only being paranoid. But deep down, she knew better. Michael's message lingered in her mind like a bruise that refused to fade. "There's something I need to tell you." What could he possibly mean? She had promised herself that she wouldn't get tangled up in his life again, but curiosity and fear began to merge into something heavier. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every noise at night made her sit upright in bed, her heart pounding. Then one evening, as she was locking up the bookstore, she noticed a black car parked across the street. The same one she'd seen twice that week, its headlights dim, its windows tinted. When she looked at it directly, it drove away. The next morning, Michael called. "Emma, can we meet? Just for a few minutes. I can't explain over the phone." His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it, a strain she hadn't heard before. She hesitated. "If this is about us." "It's not," he interrupted. "It's about Lily." Her stomach tightened. "What about her?" "Please," he said. "Just meet me. Tomorrow evening. Same park where we used to take her for picnics." Before she could reply, the line went dead. The park was quiet when she arrived. The sun was beginning to set, painting the clouds gold and crimson. She spotted Michael sitting on a bench near the pond, staring at the water as if it could offer answers. When he turned to look at her, his eyes were tired, not just from sleepless nights, but from something deeper. "Thanks for coming," he said. "I didn't come for you," she replied. "You said it was about Lily." He nodded slowly. "It is. But before I tell you, I need you to promise you'll listen." "I'll listen," she said, crossing her arms. He exhaled. "When I left, it wasn't just because of us. There were things I got involved in, things I thought I could handle." Emma frowned. "What things?" "Investments. People I shouldn't have trusted. I tried to make extra money for us, but it went wrong, really wrong. And when I tried to pull out, they threatened me." "Threatened you? Who?" He looked around before continuing, lowering his voice. "Some of them weren't just business people. They were connected, dangerous people. I owed them money, and when I couldn't pay, they said they'd come after what I loved most." Emma's breath caught. "You mean Lily?" He nodded. "That's why I left. To keep you both safe." She stared at him, disbelief twisting into anger. "You disappeared for almost a year, and that's your excuse? You could have told me." "I couldn't." His voice broke. "If they knew I'd warned you, they would have gone after you immediately. I thought if I vanished, they'd lose interest." Emma shook her head, trembling. "And now? Why are you back?" "Because they didn't lose interest," he said softly. "They found me again, and they know where you live." For a long time, neither of them spoke. The sound of the wind rustling through the trees filled the silence. "Are you saying we're in danger?" She whispered. "Yes. But I have a plan. I've been working with someone, an investigator. If I can hand over enough evidence, they'll leave us alone. I just need time." "Time," she repeated bitterly. "Michael, we have a child. You don't get to play hero now." He rubbed his temples. "I'm not playing hero, Emma. I'm trying to fix the mess I made." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her thoughts spinning. Could he be telling the truth? Or was this another one of his stories, another excuse for abandoning them? But when she looked out the window and saw the same black car idling at the corner of their street, a cold wave of fear washed over her. She pulled the curtains shut and locked every door in the house. Lily, half asleep, mumbled from her room, "Mom, what's wrong?" "Nothing, sweetheart," Emma whispered, forcing calm into her voice. "Go back to sleep." But her hands were shaking too much to believe her own words. The next day, she took Lily to school early, then went to the police station. She told them about the car, about Michael's warning, about the strange messages. The officer who took her statement was polite but skeptical. "Ma'am, there's no concrete evidence of a threat yet," he said. "But we'll file a report and patrol your area for a few nights." "Yet?" she repeated, incredulous that he shrugged. "We take precautions, but unless someone actually approaches you." Emma left before he could finish. She didn't want to wait for unless. That evening, Michael showed up again, this time at the back door. "Don't be mad," he said quickly. "I didn't want to be seen near the front." Emma glared at him. "You can't just appear here whenever you want. Lily's inside." "I know," he said, lowering his voice. "But listen, I have proof now. Bank records, transaction lists, phone calls. If I can get them to the right people, it's over. Then go to the police." "I can't. Not yet. Some of them are involved too." She stared at him, horrified. "You're saying the police?" He nodded grimly. "At least one detective. I'm not sure who to trust." A knock echoed through the house. Emma froze. "Who is that?" She whispered that Michael's expression turned sharp. "Don't answer." The knocking came again, louder this time. Then a voice. "Emma Carter? Delivery." She frowned. "It's probably nothing. Wait." Michael pulled her back. "That's not your name anymore, remember? You changed it when we moved." The knocking stopped. Silence. Then footsteps fading away. Michael exhaled shakily. "They're checking. They know you're here." Over the next few days, the tension became unbearable. Emma took time off work, keeping Lily home from school under the excuse of a family emergency. Every creak in the house made her jump. Every passing car sent her heart racing. Michael stayed hidden in the guest room, poring over files and notes. Sometimes, Emma caught him staring out the window at Lily playing on the floor, a look of guilt shadowing his face. One night, she found him holding a photo of the three of them from years ago, smiling on the beach. "Before everything fell apart, she still draws the sea, you know," Emma said quietly. He nodded. She always said it reminded her of home. They stood there for a long time, side by side, without speaking. Then, just when the fear began to settle into dull routine, everything changed. It was late, past midnight. Rain battered the windows. Emma was in the kitchen, washing dishes, when she heard a noise, a faint scrape against the back door. She froze. "Michael?" She called out, and no answer. The scrape came again, followed by a whisper of footsteps. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She turned off the lights and reached for the phone before she could dial. The door burst open. A man in a dark coat stepped inside, dripping rainwater, his face half hidden by a hood. "Where's Michael?" he demanded. Emma stumbled back. "Who are you?" He took a step closer. "Where is he?" From behind, a voice shouted, "Get away from her." Michael lunged from the hallway, tackling the intruder. The two men crashed into the kitchen table, sending dishes shattering to the floor. Emma screamed, grabbing Lily, who had run and crying. "Go upstairs." The fight was fast, brutal. Michael was strong, but the intruder was faster. A knife glinted in his hand. Emma's heart stopped. "Stop," she cried. But it was over in seconds. The man stumbled back, clutching his arm where Michael had struck him with a heavy pan. He fled into the rain, disappearing into the darkness. Michael collapsed to the floor, panting. Emma dropped beside him. "Are you hurt?" He shook his head, though blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. "I'm fine. But they know. They know I'm here." The police arrived 20 minutes later. This time, they took it seriously. They questioned both of them, took photos, promised extra patrols. But as the officers drove away, Emma caught one of them glancing back at the house with something in his eyes that made her uneasy, a look too knowing, too cold. When she turned to Michael, he was staring out the window again. "What are you thinking?" she asked. He sighed. "I'm thinking we have to leave." "Leave?" "Yes, tonight." "Michael, we can't just—" "If we stay, they'll come back," he said. Next time, they won't miss. Emma looked at Lily, asleep on the couch, clutching her stuffed rabbit. The thought of uprooting her again, of running without knowing where, made her chest ache, but when she looked into Michael's eyes, she saw no room for argument. "Okay," she whispered. "Where do we go?" "I know a place," he said. "Safe house up north. A friend owes me a favor." They packed quickly, clothes, food, Lily's drawings, Emma's camera. As they pulled out of the driveway, the street was empty, but halfway down the road, Emma glanced in the rearview mirror and saw headlights following them. They drove through the night, rain pounding the windshield. Lily slept in the back seat, unaware of the danger closing in. Michael gripped the wheel, eyes fixed on the dark road ahead. "Do you trust me?" he asked quietly. Emma hesitated. "I don't know." He nodded. "That's fair." Then, after a moment, "But trust that I won't let anything happen to you. Not again." She looked at him, the man who had once been her everything, now both her greatest regret and her only shield. Outside, lightning split the sky, and somewhere behind them, the car with the black headlights didn't stop following. The rain didn't stop for hours. It fell in sheets so heavy that the wipers couldn't keep up, blurring the road into endless streaks of gray. Emma sat tense in the passenger seat, her hands clenched around the seatbelt, every muscle in her body wound tight. Lily was curled up in the back seat, fast asleep, the soft glow from a small flashlight illuminating her stuffed rabbit. That Michael's eyes never left the road. His knuckles were white against the steering wheel. "Are they still behind us?" Emma asked. He checked the rearview mirror for the 100th time. "Not anymore. They turned off a while ago." "You're sure?" He nodded, though his tone betrayed uncertainty. "Pretty sure." She exhaled shakily and turned to look out the window. The dark forest seemed to swallow the car whole. The narrow road twisted through the trees, no streetlights, no signs of civilization. Only the rhythm of rain and the hum of the engine. "Where are we going exactly?" she asked. "North," he said. "There's a safe house in a small coastal town. A friend of mine, or at least he used to be. If he's still there, he'll help us." Emma looked at him sharply. "Used to be?" Michael's mouth tightened. "It's complicated. Everything with you is complicated," she muttered. He didn't argue. By dawn, they reached a tiny gas station off a desolate stretch of highway. Michael parked the car behind the building, half hidden by a row of old trucks. "I'll get supplies," he said. "Stay here." Emma wanted to protest, but exhaustion silenced her. She watched him disappear inside, then turned back to check on Lily. The child stirred slightly, murmuring something in her sleep. Emma smiled faintly and brushed a strand of hair from her daughter's face. For a brief second, it felt almost normal, like a road trip, like the kind they used to take before everything fell apart. But the illusion shattered when she spotted a man standing near the pumps, pretending to smoke while staring at their car. Her pulse quickened. The man's eyes met hers. He didn't look away. Michael returned minutes later with a bag of food and a full tank. Emma tried to stay calm, but the fear in her voice betrayed her. There was someone watching the car. He froze. "Describe him." "Tall, gray jacket, buzz cut." "He was by the pumps." Before she could finish, Michael looked out the window, but the man was gone. "Get Lily," he said. "We're leaving." They sped out of the station, gravel spitting behind the tires. "Michael, what if they're tracking us?" "They're not," he said firmly. "I ditched the burner phone, changed plates, everything. There's no way they—" A black SUV pulled onto the highway behind them. Emma's heart lurched. "Michael, I see it." He pressed harder on the accelerator. The SUV did the same. For the next 15 minutes, the chase wound through the forest road. The rain had slowed, but the pavement was slick, and every turn threatened to send them spinning. "Michael, you can't outrun them forever." "I don't have to," he said, eyes locked ahead. "Just need to reach the cliffs. They won't follow us there." "The cliffs? You'll see." Lily woke up with a start as the car hit a sharp turn. "Mom? What's happening?" "Hold on, baby," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "It's okay." The SUV gained on them, its headlights glaring through the rain. Then, suddenly, the forest opened up, revealing a stretch of coastline. The ocean crashing against jagged rocks below. Michael slammed on the brakes and turned hard onto a dirt road leading toward an old boathouse near the edge of the cliffs. The SUV skidded to a halt behind them but didn't follow down. "Out," Michael said. "Now." They ran through the mud, Lily clinging to Emma's hand, as Michael led the way to the weathered structure. The boathouse was old and smelled of salt and rust, but it was sturdy. Michael pushed open the door and motioned them inside. "Stay here. I need to make a call." Emma grabbed his arm. "To who?" "The man who owns this place, my contact. His name's Alex. If anyone can help us, it's him." He disappeared outside. Emma held Lily close, listening to the wind howl through the cracks in the walls. The sound of waves below was deafening. For a moment, she thought she saw a movement outside, a shadow near the rocks. But when she blinked, it was gone. She turned to Lily, forcing a smile. "It's going to be okay. Daddy's fixing everything." Lily's eyes were wide. "Mom, I'm scared." "I know, honey," she whispered, hugging her tighter. "Me too." Minutes passed. Then footsteps. "Michael." No answer. "Michael, is that you?" The door creaked open. A man stepped inside. Not Michael. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his face half hidden under a hood. "Emma," he said smoothly. "We need to talk." She froze, backing away. "Who are you?" "Name's Alex. Michael sent me." She hesitated. "He said you were his friend." "I was," the man replied, "until he betrayed us." The words hit her like ice water. "What? He didn't tell you, did he?" Alex said, stepping closer. "He wasn't just trying to make money. He stole something. Data, evidence, files that weren't his. He thought he could sell it and disappear. But he failed. And now everyone's paying for it." Emma shook her head, refusing to believe it. "You're lying." "I wish I was," he said calmly. "But Michael's not the victim here. He's the reason they came after you." The door burst open behind him. Michael appeared, drenched, a gun in his hand. "Step away from them, Alex." Alex turned slowly, smirking. "You should have stayed gone, brother." Emma's breath caught. "Brother?" Michael's jaw tightened. "Half-brother. Same father. Different mistakes." The tension in the air was electric. "Tell her the truth," Alex said. "Tell her what you did." Michael didn't answer. "Michael!" Emma shouted. "What is he talking about?" Finally, Michael lowered the gun slightly. "It's true. I stole from them, not for money, but to expose them. They were laundering money through the company I worked for, using it to fund people like Alex. When I found out, I tried to stop it." Alex laughed bitterly. "You didn't try to stop it. You tried to sell the evidence to another buyer. You wanted out, and you wanted to profit from it." Michael's voice hardened. "I was desperate, but I changed my mind. I was going to give it to the authorities." "Too late for that now," Alex said. "They've already burned everything. You can't save anyone anymore." He pulled out a pistol. "You just die and let it end." The next moments blurred together, shouting. The deafening crack of gunfire, Lily screaming. Emma dropped to the floor, shielding her daughter as splinters flew from the wooden walls. Michael lunged forward, tackling Alex. The two men fought savagely, slamming into walls, fists colliding, blood splattering across the floorboards. The gun skidded across the floor, stopping near Emma's feet. She stared at it, frozen. "Emma!" Michael shouted. "The gun!" Her hands trembled. She'd never held one before. "Mom!" Lily cried. Emma grabbed the weapon, aiming it with both hands. "Stop!" Both men froze, breathing hard, faces streaked with rain and blood. Alex smirked. "You won't shoot." "Try me," she whispered, but before she could decide, the floor beneath them groaned, a sharp, cracking sound as one of the beams snapped under the weight of the fight. The old boathouse gave a sickening lurch. "Get out!" Michael yelled. Emma grabbed Lily and ran toward the door as the floor collapsed behind them, sending debris crashing into the churning sea below. Michael and Alex fell with it. "Michael!" Emma screamed. She rushed to the edge, coughing through the smoke and dust, through the mist. She saw movement. Michael clinging to a broken beam, waves crashing around him. "Emma!" he gasped. Reaching up, she dropped to her knees, extending her hand. Their fingers brushed, just barely, but she couldn't pull him up. "Go!" he shouted. "Take Lily. Go. I'm not leaving you. You have to. Please." Another crack, louder this time. The beam gave way. Michael's hand slipped. "Michael!" He fell. The sea swallowed him. Hours later, the storm had passed. The sun rose, pale and fragile over the horizon. Rescue teams found Emma and Lily near the cliffs, shivering but alive. The boathouse was gone, reduced to splinters scattered across the rocks. Michael's body was never recovered for weeks. Emma replayed it all in her mind. Every word, every choice, every moment that led to that night. The police took her statement, and eventually, the case closed. But closure never came. Months later, Emma and Lily started a new life in a quiet coastal town far away. She got a job teaching art to children, while Lily began school again. They talked about him sometimes, the good parts, the laughter, the love before the chaos, and on certain evenings, Emma would walk to the cliffs and watch the waves, feeling the wind whip through her hair. She didn't know if Michael had truly died a hero or simply a man trying to make things right. But she did know this. He had given her one last gift, the strength to survive, to protect what mattered, to keep going. One night, months later, Emma received a small envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a flash drive and a single note. For Lily, the truth should be hers one day. Her hands trembled as she stared at it. The handwriting was unmistakable to Michael's. She smiled faintly through tears, looking out the window at the sea. Somewhere beyond the horizon, she liked to believe. He was watching, finally at peace. The weight of silence had lifted at last.